woke up this morning and I said, you know what would be productive? To upset some left-leaning people on Twitter. It's literally what I do. I'm a troll. But in 2024, in order to troll, you gotta do the opposite of what it was like in 2016. See, in 2016, you would say something you don't believe in, but like people would just get enraged. Now in 2024, you say something that's common sense and you do believe in, and left-leaning people go bonkers. So what I did was I posted what I personally think makes a video game unworthy for me to purchase. Because nowadays video games are incredibly expensive. They go all the way up to $120 if you want to buy the deluxe edition. They have all sorts of spyware installed to harvest and collect data from your machine. And most of the times they're even worse than video games in the past. And when I say worst, I mean objectively worse. Like some games don't even run. Like day one and they don't launch. Like, and due to that, I noticed a couple of criterias. I noticed a couple of things that if the game has, it usually is a red flag that I shouldn't give them my hard-earned money. So, in order to begin, I also pointed the fact that video games are not essential. They're not like food. They're not clothing. So they're a luxury item. And on top of that, I also have a huge backlog of games. I mean, I've been having a lot of games, especially since the early 2010s on Steam, games that I purchased and I never played. I'm like a woman getting shoes. Like, you get shoes because they are beautiful, but then you never wear them because they hurt your foot. And usually those games that I got, you know, they weren't as good as the other games that came out, but they were on a sale, they were something. So I have a huge backlog, and I'm like, yeah, you know, I can play these games. So it's not like I desperately need to buy, because you have like leftists being outright shocked when you tell them, yeah, I don't think I'm going to buy the new Silent Hill, and they're like, oh, Dios mio, how can you say something like this? Oh, what a petty reason not to buy the game. Are you insane? Are you some sort of misogynist? Like, how can you go to a bar and pick up a woman without telling her that you argued with someone over Silent Hill? Like, that is what makes women moist. They love a man who plays video games. How can you afford not to get Silent Hill? Like, this mental derangement. So I just made it outright clear that, no, I generally do not need to buy video games, and I can choose not to buy one for literally whatever reason I want. Maybe the developer smells. You know, like, maybe I was at the supermarket, I met the developer, and he was disrespectful to me, and that's why I don't buy the game. Like, I can only make up whatever reason. I don't have to justify myself. But for the sake of the argument, I just stated, yeah, like, video games are not essential. So, already, in this economy, to spend so much cash on a video game is a luxury thing some people can't afford. I personally wouldn't be able to afford to buy every single game. So therefore, I need to make a selection. And the selection is like this. The first one, this is the most important. If, like, out of all four, this is the biggest one. If a person associated with the production, and I don't give a fuck if they're a community manager, if they're the HR lady, if it's the fucking janitor, okay, that works at the company, and if they go online and say anything disrespectful to the customers, and they don't get fired, I will not buy the game. I will assume that this is what the company stands by. And I've noticed this, right? Like, especially with companies like Disney, who are all about female empowerment and allowing women to speak out. When they have an actress that this is the public, or this is the source material, Ziegler, right? Like Ziegler, she goes out and she says that Snow White is misogynistic or some shit, and she plays Snow White, right? And Disney allows her to keep having a job, but then you have Gina Carano that fans love, and she speaks out, and Disney fires her because she doesn't put pronouns in the bio or something. Well, when you're behaving like this in 2024, I assume that companies are aware what people are saying online, and they do choose to fire people, right? They do not respect free speech. So if they have a person that is belittling the customer, that is going out of their way to being antagonistic to the customers, if they call the customers istophobes or whatever the fuck, I will not buy the game. It is not the place of the company to cast moral judgment on the public. They are not the fucking church. They are not an institution. They're not mommy. They're not daddy. They do not have the capability of projecting morality because they're a fucking greedy corporation. If they were projecting morality, they wouldn't be in this business to begin with. So no, like, the last thing that I want is for a company to start moralizing. So yeah, like if a person is associated with the production and it insults a customer, I will not buy it. I don't fucking care if the customer is a communist. I don't fucking care if the customer is someone that I hate. He is a customer. He is part of the community. If a company insults the community, I will not buy the product. The second one is any illogical race swap, gender swap for no reason and not addressed in the game plot. Like, if you're going, and this only applies to remakes, by the way, right? Like, if you're making a remake, I want you to be as authentic as possible to the source material. If the character in the first source material was fat, I want it in the remake to also be fat. I want you, because that's what you're targeting, right? Like, you're targeting me because I'm a fan of the original. So you're making a remake because you're incapable of making a new game. Like, you are incapable of creating a new universe. Like, fine, I understand. You know, we all have limitations. So if you're making a remake, I want the characters to be as authentic as possible. It's not just the race and the gender. If the character is blonde in the original, I want it to be blonde again. I will not play a remake of Blade if Blade is a white guy. Like, it works both ways. You know, if the main character is Asian, I expected the remake to be Asian as well. The only exception, I'm willing to have a little bit of wiggle room, is if the character, let's say in the original, is 16 and it offends Western sensibilities, right? Because in America, 18 is age of consent, and maybe like the game is rated M for mature and there's some lewd scenes in it, and you want to make the character 18 from 16. Sure, fine. But that is the only thing. That is literally the only thing that I will allow. So if you do this, I will not buy it. You're not entitled to my money anyway. Giving a female character the Californian Ismuth look, right? What I mean is usually they do this shit nowadays, right? Like they take a random character, like let's say this is the original one, right? In this picture, and in the remake, they say, oh, this is the, no. Okay? Now, how can I tell, right? Like, how can we be objective? Because they will say, well, V, it's subjective. Like, what are you on about? You know, they try to gaslight you. It's very simple. If fucking ChatGPT can't say it, then I will not buy. You are at the mercy of ChatGPT. I don't fucking care how you do it. By the way, go to ChatGPT. You can upload images. And upload images from the games that came out after the year 2000, right? So, like, get pictures from Neverwinter Nights of female characters, Star Wars The Old Republic, World of Warcraft. You will see that ChatGPT has no problem discerning whether or not it's a female character or a male character. But for some fucking reason, when it's modern games, when it's games that came out after 2022, ChatGPT is fucking clueless, despite the fact that it's an AI, and all AI is built with facial recognition in mind. Like, facial recognition is the bread and butter of AI. Almost every single company covets it. So don't give me that shit that the AI doesn't know. It knows very fucking well. And if the AI fails, this is my test, all right? The V test. Can the AI tell if this is a woman or not? And if the answer is not, maybe hire some people that actually know what a woman is. Finally, any involvement with Sweet Baby or similar companies, right? Like similar consulting companies, especially from the bowels, from the loins of California. I don't want to touch that shit. I seen what they say at their private meetings. I listen to how much they hate, especially white men. I happen to be a white man. I feel particularly targeted. They're targeting my community. This is what the leftists like to say. Our community, they're targeting me. They're targeting my father. What the fuck do they have to my father? What did my father ever do to them? So if that is the situation, why would I fund hate? I don't want to fund hate. I don't like funding hate. If they hate a subcategory of people, you know, that's their business, but not with my money. Now there have been other peoples that want to expand the list. I think like 4 points is beautiful. Like if I get even a couple of these points addressed, I'm happy. I know like people, oh, well, a single player game that require online only. Like, no, I know that's anti-consumer, but like these changes don't affect their bottom line. Like, none of these changes have to affect the company's bottom line. I consider them to be extremely highly reasonable, extremely highly implementable. So if they want my money, that's on them. Now, again, I don't know how many other people are like me. It's not that I'm trying to make a statement or anything. It's just my personal preference. If you have your personal preference, that's fine. But this is what I think. Let me know what you think, though. And as usual, I will see you in the comment section. Take care.